Please welcome to the stage VP Product Management, IoT Industrial Networking, Cisco, Samuel Pasquea.
Thank you. Thank you, and welcome to this session. That should be quite interesting, and thank you for joining. So what we're going to talk about today is about IoT and IoT in industrial networking. But let's start a little bit around, what do we mean by IoT? And the idea is really how you can leverage technology to help achieve outcome in your business. And the outcome can be way different depending on your industry. But we have seen that happening and accelerating all over our customer and you. So we have seen example in manufacturing, how to improve efficiency, productivity. We have seen it in utilities. I've talked to a lot of you today that are in a utility network and how to increase and improve resiliency. So that has been happening for now more than 10 years, and it's accelerating. And we need IT and OT to work together, and IT to help our friend on the OT side to go and continue to digitize our industry. With that, there is one thing that is really top of mind. It's all around sustainability. You have seen that at Cisco today and this week. And we thought, we can talk about sustainability, but why don't we get on stage people who are actually helping to produce this renewable energy and those improving the world. So with that, I would like to welcome on stage Chris McGuckin. Chris is a lead cyber engineer and OT networking engineer for Scottish Power. But Chris is way more than that. Chris has been in the industry and industrial networking for the last 30 years. Believe it or not, he was connecting one of the first unmanned offshore platform in 1992. That was 31 years ago. So he has seen it all. He has seen things like being dropped with a Cisco router from an helicopter to go and bring connectivity. So he has amazing story to tell us. So with that, please welcome on stage, Chris. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for joining. So, Chris, obviously you work for Scottish Power, and people may not fully know. What do you do at Scottish Power? What's Scottish Power Renewable? Please tell us more.
Well, Scottish Power Renewables is part of the Iberdrola groups of companies. We're one of the leading renewable energy companies in the world and focused on delivering 52 terawatts of renewable generation by 2025. So in context, the UK, for example, uses about 40 to 45 terawatts of energy at peak load. So we're producing about 20 or 25% more. That's our target for 2025, and much, much more by 2030, really to bring us clean, renewable energy.
Thank you, Chris. So obviously, you work on offshore wind farm. That is quite an interesting setting, and I'm sure for the audience, not everyone has the chance to work in those environments. So tell us a little bit more. What are your challenges from an operation standpoint, from a technical standpoint? How is it to work on this offshore platform and offshore wind farm?
Well, I think you can see the first one here, Samuel. I mean, it's in the middle of the water. You really don't get DHL dropping off parts. Your engineers struggle to get the bus to work, and my bike really doesn't get there. So we're trying to create, we don't have telcos offshore, we have to create our own telecommunications network for everything. We need to build a village so that we can actually construct the facilities in the first place. So we're providing everything so that people have Netflix, Wi-Fi, along with the industrial and IT assets. So you can see some of the things on the screen here. We'll use the industrial Ethernet switches, and a typical wind farm now is maybe using 500 Cisco industrial Ethernet switches. Wireless backhaul, you can see we use many ships and vessels to actually construct the wind farm and to service it later on. So we need long-range wireless and products like the Cisco ultra-reliable wireless with specific antennas to get us good range of up to 10 or 15 kilometers. They help to provide wide area coverage across the wind farm. There's always fibre. We have composite cables connecting all the wind turbines and the offshore substation. And in the middle of the power cables is fibre optic communication. And that's our primary WAN link back to the shore.
So, Chris, you mentioned the operational challenge. Now, the technical challenge. So you leverage IT technology into an industrial environment. what are the technical challenges that you have today, and where do you need some help, right? Tell us more.
Well, this is critical infrastructure. Ultimately, like everyone, we're having real pressures on security. It's probably our main focus at the moment overall. The actual products, it's really key that you can manage them, you can monitor the availability, and you can monitor your threats and vulnerabilities throughout the product life cycle. If you look back to 2016, there was an attack in the Ukraine where they took out 30 substations in an attack. They opened all the circuit breakers, so they cut all the customers off. It caused a fluctuation in the power grid in the country. And not only did they open the circuit breakers, but they actually injected malware. They put corrupted firmware onto port servers, so it was impossible to remotely close the circuit breakers again. And you can imagine the difficulty we would have getting somebody to go to site to manually close the circuit breakers. It could really take quite a length of time offshore.
No, thank you, Chris. And you mentioned as well, when we discussed yesterday about the resources, right? Finding the right people to work in those environments. Tell us more about what are your challenges, because you have tons of people here on the IT side.
Yeah, I mean, some of the training, usually if we use helicopters, I mean, I had to go in the helicopter dunker training. I don't know if any of you have seen this, where they put you in a helicopter, turn you upside down underwater, and you go and do firefighting duties. So it's not your normal CCNA training. For the other training, we've got very high, these turbines are now 200 meters tall, so we have to make sure that people are capable and fit to climb and operate in that environment. The electrical voltages that are present, the spark can jump up to 5.5 meters with some voltage levels. So we really need to focus on the health and safety skills and the technical skills that people have got. Trying to add in Cisco skills is really difficult. So we want to keep it simple and do as much as we can remotely.
Yeah, so you rely a lot on automation. Is going to be key for you to continue to operate those environments. So thank you, Chris. So I have one last question I have to ask you, right? You mentioned yesterday that you were dropped from an helicopter with a Cisco router. When can I come with you on an helicopter to drop some Cisco switches and equipment on those wind farms?
I'm really not sure, Samuel. I mean, Cisco paratroopers, we thought about this, and parachutes and wind turbines really don't go together. Health and safety really thought there was an issue and they might get tangled up. Possibly when Cisco does SmartNet offshore, we can look at it and you can maybe be a drone pilot or something.
I love that. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So you heard it from Chris. When you look at those environments, and here is an example that might be a little bit extreme, but you have a lot of industry that will require this connectivity, this security to connect this very critical infrastructure. And what we are here at Cisco is obviously we have been in the networking industry for quite some time, and we have been working with a lot of you IT or customer. And it's all about how do we bring those technologies to those industrial environments, right? How can we help those environments? And once again, just to repeat a little bit what we've heard from Chris, it is all around the complexity. As you can see, it's not only wired. You have to mix a lot of different technology to achieve the use case that you have. It's around cybersecurity. We are in Europe here. I think that resonates, I'm sure, extremely well. I've heard from a lot of you this week about that. And there is the concern that there is around that. And the last thing is really the lack of skilled resources. So I know we have tons of CCIE today at Cisco Live, and that's awesome to see you. But IT skills and resources that can go and do the work that Chris is doing. So that's really the challenge. And there is a need for us, Cisco, to help our customer to get there and to solve the challenge. And the most important point is we realize, talking with you, that IT and OT, the operation team on the industrial network side, need to work better together, right? It's not about one versus the other, it's the two working together. You, IT, need to work with your industrial automation engineer, your electrician to understand their concern, but they need to work with you to understand the network, understand the security that goes with it. And Cisco is really investing a lot to be able to close this gap and really make those two teams working together, bringing all the knowledge that we have on the IT side to industrial network. So what have we done? We have built an amazing portfolio of product, taking from our heritage of enterprise IT product and functionality, leveraging operating systems that you know, functionalities that you know, but we are packaging those products in product built and certified and compliant to be deployed in industrial environment. So we have quite a very interesting portfolio, and a lot of you, are still surprised to find that Cisco is in that space. So I really invite you to go and visit the booth to find out more. So what are we doing today? So today, we are innovating and continuing to bring functionality. One of our platforms is Cisco IoT Operations Dashboard, and the goal is to bring cloud services that can be used by OT persona to simplify their life. So I can talk a lot about it, but instead of that, why don't we play the video and we go from there.
The industrial environment presents a number of challenges. Assets are remote and highly distributed, like traffic intersections, trains, remote energy sources. They're often moving, making them difficult to connect to, and they require the same level of security as on-premises assets. Cisco IoT Operations Dashboard addresses these challenges and the need for secure operations at scale. It is a cloud-based dashboard with a set of services designed to onboard and manage network devices, provide alarm and troubleshooting, and enable secure equipment access to solve issues in the field. One of the largest issues customers face is a lack of visibility into the details of what's connected. We solve this with the integration of our IoT Operations Dashboard, CyberVision, and secure equipment access. With Cisco, customers see all the assets associated with their IoT infrastructure. In addition to seeing everything that's connected, we provide operators vulnerability risk scores for each asset and identify at-risk software that needs updating. Let's look at a real-world example. City traffic management systems have thousands of intersections, each responsible for monitoring and moving pedestrians and vehicles. Each intersection has traffic controllers, cameras, and signal devices. There's an issue with a camera at one of these intersections. IoT Operations Dashboard with the secure equipment access enables customers to access the traffic cabinet and all third-party systems at this intersection. Their technician uses Cisco Secure Equipment Access, align the credentials with the correct system, and troubleshoot the problem without having to dispatch a crew to the site. With Cisco, the customer completely eliminated the time and cost associated with a truck roll. Only Cisco enables customers to connect devices, manage at scale, and deploy end-to-end security.
So let me summarize what we are launching today at Cisco Live and this week. So we are launching 3 new capabilities and 3 new services into Operation Dashboard. The first thing is we are bringing Cisco Ultra Reliable Wireless Backhaul to Operation Dashboard. So Cisco Ultra Reliable is a technology that allow you to do connectivity on point-to-point, point-to-multipoint, as well as connecting assets on the move. So now that can be consumed directly from Operation Dashboard. The second thing that we are launching is Secure Equipment Access Plus, which is a cloud services to allow you to access equipment that is behind a Cisco networking product. So let me take an example. You have a street intersection. You will have in the street intersection a street light controller to control what goes green, red, and orange. And now, with Secure Equipment Access, what we can do, the traffic engineer can use the cloud to connect on the services to be able to interfere and manage the device that is behind the Cisco router. And you have now ability to run directly native application, so you can make your job much easier, and you don't have to do a truck roll to go and manage this equipment and configure this equipment. The last thing that we are launching in terms of software is CyberVision. So CyberVision is a visibility tool for industrial network. And I know I've heard a lot of you are using it today. And it's really a tool that allows you to see what is connected to our industrial network. A lot of our customers do not even know what is connected. With CyberVision, you can do that. What we are launching is CyberVision is now available in the cloud as a service, which greatly simplifies the deployment of it, and you can start to see the value and start to see and assess your different device connecting in your industrial environment. So that's the software element. There is a second component of the launch, which is the hardware element. On the hardware side, we are launching 2 new set of product family. The first one is a new Cisco IE3100. So that's a very small, tiny layer 2 switch with iOS XE built-in inside, so you get all the enterprise-grade feature that you will expect in iOS XE available in this platform. We have 5 different SKU available, from 6 port to 20 port. We have version with advanced feature, like for some of you that might be in a manufacturing environment, you will find things like layer 2 NAT to really simplify the deployment of those different machines. So that's the first thing, the switches part. The second element I'm super excited to launch is our new IW9165E and D. The E is the external antenna. The D version is the same, but with built-in antenna, directional built-in antenna. And what we have here, it's the first time that Cisco is launching an industrial wireless client. And what it allows you to do is to connect to your current wireless infrastructure to connect assets on the move, assets that are moving, like AGVs or AMR in a manufacturing environment, like train, subway, maybe in a transportation use case. And you can connect that to your curb infrastructure. It can not only do that in curb, it can also work as a Wi-Fi client to connect to a regular Wi-Fi network. So now it means as you, as an IT or OT network engineer, you can have a Cisco infrastructure end-to-end to go all the way to the client to be able to see what's going on and make sure the connectivity is there. So we are very excited to launch this product, and they are available on the World of Solution, and invite them to go and see them. So now, to go back to our customer, we talk about Scottish Power and their offshore wind farm. So they are operating the wind farm. And we thought it's good to see how they do that, but it would be also very interesting to see what's going on in the wind turbine. And it's my great pleasure that I'd like to welcome on stage Jan Holmberg Jacobsen. He's the OT network product owner. And thank you, Jan. Welcome on stage. Thank you, Jan. So, Jan, obviously you work for Siemens Gamesa, and I'm sure a lot of you have been driving around in Europe. You see all those big wind turbines, and that's you, Jan. So tell us a little bit more about Siemens Gamesa, what you do, and what is your business.
Yes. So, to combat the challenges that we face today, our company decided that we needed onshore, offshore, and service BUs because they have very, very different challenges today. So my role is to be the corporate technology person, and we are helping each region with their challenges, while at the same time we develop one product that can work on all. So we have to encompass onshore challenges, offshore challenges, and also help our colleagues in service, because these wind parks, they might run for 25 years, 30 years, 35 years. So how do we do that? There's a lot of challenges that we see. Primarily, a good example is on offshore. We have a challenge because the switches, when we put them in the turbines, that needs to happen physically, of course. But if something goes wrong, what then? So this challenge we actually solved with, we introduced like a 2-stage setup where we load a configuration, firmware, all those things on the switch, and then as soon as the switch is actually connected in the turbine and connected to the substation, and remember, this can take months. So a turbine can run just fine while not being connected to the substation, because the substation is not built yet, for instance. And here, connectivity is still important. The turbine can run, it's being commissioned and all that. So we pre-staged it from factory, and then it could work inside the turbine. Full connectivity, everything works. And as soon as it was connected to the substation, at this point it automatically pulled its configuration down and got its full configuration, and now is completely integrated.
So, thank you, Jan. You do the question, the answer. You stole my question, Jan.
Sorry.
That's okay. So you explain us a lot of your challenge. So now, obviously, there is operational challenge and this 2-stage commissioning that you talk about. But what about security? We heard Chris, and Chris was worried about security. And once again, these days it's a very popular question, I would say, and very in the current context. So tell us more. What does it mean for you, and what's your challenge on that front?
Yeah. So if security is important for Chris, it is absolutely vital for our business to continue. We see securities coming from national legislations, regulations, IEC requirements, ISO requirements. Every country now are implementing regulations for critical infrastructure, and that also includes wind energy. As more turbines goes up every day, more and more of the energy that each country use is based on wind, and that means that we are seeing more regulatives almost on a daily basis now. So we always have to think 2 or 3 years ahead to be able to develop the solutions that would help us actually be able to sell the products in these countries. And the good thing is, or the bad thing is that countries, they don't agree. So you could have some regulations in Germany, some regulations in US, some regulations in Scotland or wherever, and they could interpret security regulations completely different. So we always have to be a little bit ahead on the curve here to ensure that our customers can still put up these turbines and that we're able to sell products and turbines to them.
No, I understand. So thank you so much, Jan, for coming and sharing your experience. And like you heard about Jan and Chris, it's all about the security concern. The other thing that is very important for our customer is how you package all those solutions together. Chris did not really mention it, but one of the things that is key is also to have validated design. When you go and deploy a platform, being an offshore farm or manufacturing a plant, a lot of our customers have challenges and they want to have cookie-cutter configuration and architecture. And that's where Cisco we're investing to do a validated design to help on that and help our customer to make sure they standardize how their infrastructure look like. So you've heard it from Chris and Jan. It's all about the complexity of those infrastructure, the networking that is needed, the security that is top of mind, the lack of skilled resources, right, that we need to have more people in the industrial network. That's why Cisco has been investing there, because we have a amazing amount of talent in the IT side that are now required on the industrial network side. And Cisco, with your skill set, we can help you to cross the gap and help on the industrial networking side. We have investing a lot on our portfolio. I invite you to go and check the portfolio either on the website if you're online or in the Wall of Solution. Investing into security, you saw CyberVision. Now CyberVision available in the cloud to really simplify the deployment, simplify the access to visibility and asset discovery. The validated design that really allow us to de-risk your investment because we give you blueprint on how to deploy your infrastructure. And the last but not the least is the Cisco customer services that can help you to provide you extra services to be able to go and deploy your environment. So with that, I would like to wrap it up and say thank you to all of you. I invite you to continue the visit. On the World of Solution, if you are here in person, we have amazing product and the team can show you all the demo of the product I mentioned. You can still book one-on-one meeting with our engineer. We are still available and we are there. You can attend some of the latest session of Capture the Flag and DevNet session. And finally, for the one of you that are online, all of this content is going to be available online where you can go and spend even more time and go more into the detail about the different products that we have launched. So thank you so much.